The centuries-old vampire Count Dracula comes to England to seduce his lawyer's fiancée and inflict havoc in the foreign land. Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 masterpiece Dracula is up next on Inside Movie. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inside Movies. Right now we're continuing our Keanu Reeves marathon where we leave you reeving more. Is that what, I don't think
that is not right.
Wanting more.
Reeving more. Okay. Yeah, so we've previously done the John Wick movies. We've got Speed and Point Blank coming up, Constantine, Johnny Mnemonic. So go through Point Gross. No, I don't know.
Gross Point Blank?
Point Gross? Gross Point
Blank.
Blank.
Something like that.
Point Break. Gross Point Break would be a great
Break.
movie.
I am joined by novelist Andrew Buckley, writer-illustrator GMB Kamichuk, and the editor-in-chief of Merc Publishing, Murphy.
Yeah.
Oh no! Stop it!
Yeah, the tragedy of it all.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Can you really?
Let's get into it. What's the good? What do we like about Dracula?
It is
much.
So many things. Yeah, go more. I'm just gonna.
Never seen this before. I didn't know about the existence of this movie. Holy hell! Killer cast, number one. Just the stylization of it is kind of. I feel like this movie had to have inspired a lot of the future Tim Burton-esque movies that we got within the next 2 decades after it came out. I absolutely loved this. I had a great time.
I have to say, Murphy, I'm jealous that you got to watch this movie for the first time. I absolutely love this movie, and it was really one of the early date movies that my wife and I immediately were like, what should we watch? Oh, what if this was back in the, I know this is way back, but remember VHSs where you'd bring a VHS? I brought Dracula and we watched it together, and now, almost an eternity we've spent together since Dracula came out. But one of my absolute favorite films.
Everybody looks like they're acting their ass off in this movie, and it is so good. And they look like they're having so much fun. Gary Oldman is so sunk into this role, and Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing, as a weird, quirky Van Helsing, where he's there 1 minute and then he's gone the next. It was just, aside from Keanu's, terrible British accent, which he's admitted several times in interviews that he did a horrible job because he was exhausted. But Tom Waits playing Renfield. Oh man, it was just so good to watch. It's got some crazy shit in it, but it's a good damn movie.
Anthony Hopkins as kind of a funky Van Helsing. I love the scene when Keanu Reeves finally gets back and they're all out at dinner, and this is after they've gone and murdered the vampire husk of the friend. And he nonchalantly asks Winona Ryder he nonchalantly asks Keanu, so did you sleep with, or no, it was, did you drink any of the blood of the wives? Did you did you know them? And he was like, no, I would no, of course not. And he's like, okay, good, so we don't have to murder you. Great. That was just kind of his whole very just oh yeah, it's a vampire, whatever. Just very chill about the whole thing.
But he's also a caught husband in that scene where he's like, no, I didn't drink their blood. I didn't drink their blood. Nope, didn't do that.
We did all kinds of other stuff. Kinds of other stuff.
Talk about what we did, yeah.
This is my favorite Gary Oldman performance. I love the backstory too. When you see when he's fighting the Ottomans and he's got that badass red armor on, and he renounces his religion. I love the hair design when he's the old guy with those 2 bun things going on. It's so weird and just cool and creepy. And then I even like the design when he's young again and he goes to London and he's got those cool spectacles and stuff.
He's dead sexy when he's young. When he's young vampire Gary Oldman, he's got such sex appeal. And Gary Oldman is a lot of things, but he wouldn't be, I would say, conventionally handsome. But he works it in that film in a way that is just pure gravitas and charisma. Oh, so good.
Well, and all of the different iterations that you get to see of like Dracula's form, especially when you get to him finally in his full like Bat Dracula man form, was number one done really well. And then it was just cool. I mean, we got like what 6 different versions of him, not including the pile of rats, which was disgusting, but cool. I did enjoy that.
I like the effects in this movie. Like, they're really cool. And like everything's like kind of practical and in camera. Like, it's not CGI, which makes it like even more amazing. I like the way, like, you know, the shadow like moves when he's like not moving. And I like, you know, when he is in that bat form and he like stomps and the cross like bursts into flames. Like, these are all just like real world things that happen, but like it just looks so cool, and it's 100% believable all the time.
I love the shadow stuff. Dracula's shadow just doing whatever the hell it pleases all the time. I love that thing. It could be I want a spin-off with just about Dracula's shadow.
Isn't that a reference to Nosferatu? Isn't that a direct like Nosferatu? That and the pile of rats. It's them like giving a nod to these great renditions of Dracula.
I think it was, and I have some. It was a part in my bad list about that. But as far as like translating this novel to cinema, like this is such a good example of how to translate what is a very, very difficult book, because it's literally just all accounts, it's journals, it's letters, it's not a very great linear coherent story. But to translate that into what they did for this movie, like it's really well done, shockingly well done.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like wild divergences from the source material. So the love story of Mina and Dracula should have bothered me. Instead, it was so well handled. The epistolary nature of the book makes it impossible to do. So reading between the lines and making the part you read a love story and a horror movie all at the same time. Oh, so good. And poor Lucy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she got a bad deal, man.
God, what, she gets it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
That'll teach you ladies out there to be promiscuous.
That girl is kind of a babe, though, and I liked her. I like the supporting cast, like Lucy. I like the Texan with the big mustache, and
all
and
three
the
of
hunting
those
party.
guys.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's like the cast. Everyone except for Keanu is kind of awesome.
I'll put in the good side, when Keanu first came on screen and started talking, I was like, oh no. He ended up being a much lesser part of the film than I was expecting, which unfortunately is in the good stuff.
He plays awkward well. And so that whatever that going on in that performance, those elements work well. But I just want some different ADR. The only thing, I would only change one thing in the movie. I could live with everything. I just want them to ADR a scream instead of a nah in the vampire lady scene. I just want him to actually scream and not go nah. That's it. That's it.
In case you're wondering what Greg's O face looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Speaking of
O-face?
Yeah, we got some comic books with some pretty ladies in them. Murphy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the newest offerings from Merc Publishing?
Well, thank you. We do have a lot of pretty ladies, and if you want to see what your O-face looks like, check out Miss Meow number 6 Kickstarter Special Edition coming this summer. It is the same issue that was available in stores last year, but we're filling it with tons of bonus content. Issue number 6, this one is action-packed. This is the really the first time you're finally going to get to see Miss Meow catfight fucking just go at it. It's a badass issue. We're going to have some character Bibles pages in there. We're going to have some behind the scenes script pages. And some like before and after, some art stuff, and some notes from the editor. So check out Miss Meow number 6 Kickstarter Special Edition coming soon. Just go to merckickstarter.com.
Let's get into the bad. What did we not like about Dracula?
I wanted it to be way longer. That's what I didn't. I wanted it to be way longer. It's so great. Now, we can't jump into the bad yet before we address something important for those of you who are watching this channel who are also comics makers. So, we can give Coppola credit. We have to give George Lucas some credit, who was there in a whole bunch of the screenings. Coppola and Lucas sat together as they were watching things. But the MVP of Dracula is Mr. Mike Mignola, who did the illustrated version of Dracula. All the storyboards of Dracula are absolutely incredible, and you should, look at this.
Yeah, I have that book too. It's so good.
Oh my God, so good. But hearing, you should seek it out. Mignola talks at length in a number of different interviews about sitting on the couch between George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola and what it was like to give his vision into that. And it's awesome. I mean, it feels like a Mike Mignola graphic novel before we even knew what Mike Mignola could do and who he was as a creative force. And for those of you who don't know, shame on you.
Oh yeah, he's the creator of Hellboy. I feel like we've kind of covered the bad a little bit in the good. Keanu Reeves' accent, it feels really unnatural, and it takes me out of the movie quite a bit. And you were talking earlier about the love story between Dracula and Mina, which is not in the novel, and to me it feels a bit forced. Like the obsession that he has over her, it kind of looks like his wife, but it's that seems like a lot of effort to go through for some girl that just kind of looks like some other girl. I don't know. I love it.
He believed that she was a reincarnation, because which was not in the book. In the book, it was just somebody who looked vaguely like it, and he's like, I'm gonna get her. But in the movie, they changed it so that she was meant to be kind of a reincarnation, because at one point she starts recounting what his homeland looks like, as if she had been there before. It was actually meant to be like a straight nod to that this is a reincarnation of his dead wife.
I also felt like they did a little bit of their relationship being like a drug. Like when she was with him
Absolutely.
and near him, she was obsessed. But then in the scene when she's been put away in the doctor's apartment and he comes and she's she feels like she's got this intense passion and love. But then when everyone else shows up, it feels like that kind of that the love goggles shatter, and then she can see okay, this is a monster. I thought that was kind of an interesting way to show how Dracula was kind of using his powers to force her to fall in love, and then she she could feel it, but then she can kind of be pulled out of it and see the reality of the situation.
100% agree with Murphy there, because she has that realization in the mental institute. It's like a form of mental illness that she is under his spell and she can't break it. And then it's like the bad boyfriend, right? Everyone tells you he's bad for you, and it's not until they get caught doing something that they ought not do. The taboo of it turns him into a mountain of rats,
One of the only things that I have in my bad column outside of the Keanu's obvious, that's too easy. I just thought the ending was way too abrupt. I thought it was a cool different way to look at Dracula, as far as him choosing to kind of turn into this forever fuck God, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna I'm just gonna take my revenge on God, and then to finally go back to the place that he turned himself into this being, and then finally was able to kind of find death, and it's just over. I kind of wanted to, at least a little bit more of what did Mina do? Is she okay now? If he died, is she out of under his spell? Does Keanu's hair turn back to brown? There's I just thought the ending it needed a little bit more.
Right. Does she join the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Answer is yes, she does. Yes, she does. Well, I mean, that's it. That's the answer.
I had a negative on this one, and it's more like a confusion on my part, because I read the book. I love the book for what it is, and I love this movie. But Dracula's abilities really confuse me, because particularly as it relates to Lucy, because he's still on the ship in his dirt, but he's also a wolf man, fucking and messing up Lucy at the same time in London.
No. Now I've seen this movie 100 times, probably literally 100 times. He's out of the ship by then, and he is the ship. The Demeter pulls into shore. The wolf escapes from the zoo. He comes on shore, and his visitation of Lucy is where he gets the blood and power to look like the prince and have his youth restored. So it's not till he reaches the shore that he takes Lucy's youth away and then wears it himself in order to entrap Mina. So he's eating Mina's friend while he is pursuing Mina.
Does he turn into the monster, or does the wolf turn into the monster?
No, the wolf is just, that's a holdover from the novel too, right?
So it's
His
an avatar.
power over the wild creatures means that while Lucy is killed by the wolf, they blame the wild wolf instead of Dracula. So it's his alibi.
Let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for Dracula.
I give this 4 of Dracula's shadows doing whatever the hell they want to do out of 5, because it's a good movie. It's a good translation. The practical effects, and all the acting. I mean, these guys, they did such a good job with this freaking movie. I love it.
For me, it's an A. I think it's a great movie. It's got an amazing cast. I love the effects and the direction. But the miscasting of Keanu Reeves, it was supposed to be Johnny Depp. Hey, that's who Ford Coppola wanted.
That makes so much sense.
But yeah, it just brings it down from being like an A+ to an A.
I will give Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula 3 out of 3 severed vampire mistresses' heads tumbling into a chasm. It's a perfect horror and love story. And I relate it to my love of my wife, so I can never have that taken away.
I'm going to give it 1 disgusting pile of rats out of 1. I loved it. I thought it was great. And I thank you guys. This is a rare thank you for making me watch this. I really enjoyed it. I'm a little bit bummed now that Johnny Depp wasn't that character, but it's too late in the game now to get hung up on that.
So that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. Come back next week. We got more Keanu Reeves, or we're moving on to Evil Dead and Barbarian later in April.
We read nothing out.
Until next time, peace.